Okay, everybody. Yeah, it's still me. And it is still Monday, October 18th, 2021. People have a lot of stuff to talk about with you. Some, well, we'll talk about it when we get there. Let's start off with this market today. Okay. A fractional loss for the Dow. 0.1% lower for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. S&P 500 up about 0.34%. NASDAQ up about 0.86%. So all in all, okay, a positive day for this market. Let's touch on a few other things here. Gold and silver under a little pressure right now. 10-year yield stable, dollar stable, MMRI slightly higher. You know, before I move forward, a lot of people are writing to me about this MMRI. What does it mean, Greg? What should we do when it goes higher? It's very, very simple. The higher the MMRI goes, the less risk you should have in this market. That's really what it comes down to. I think it's a very simple gauge. More risk, well, that means less exposure to risk assets. What am I talking about? Stocks, for the most part. Some ETFs. Actually, we'll talk about that too in a little bit as I move forward here. But that's really what it means. It's extremely simple. I think it's extremely effective. It's a nice tool. Doesn't stand alone. We got to look at everything else that's going on. Like I said, always say, you got to be aware of what is happening. And the higher that the MMRI goes, the more we need to pay attention to what's going on. Why is the MMRI saying, oh, you know, there's more risk in this market? Again, the MMRI tracks the driving force behind the stock market, or the drivers, which is debt, and that's driving the stock market higher. We got a big warning today from billionaire investor Carl Icahn about inflation, about debt, and what he thinks is going to happen here. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But let's go back to the market. So like I said, overall, a positive day for the market here. Gold and silver under a little pressure. Cryptocurrencies, people doing very, very well. Bitcoin still over 61,000. You know, let's touch on that real quick. I believe most of you know who follow this stuff. There is going to be a Bitcoin ETF, exchange traded fund. I wish sincerely that this wasn't happening, but I guess it was inevitable. ProShares ETF, ticker BITO. Will Greg Mannarino buy this Bitcoin ETF? I would rather own Bitcoin. You understand? That's just my take on it. I believe a lot of people are going to jump on this, and we're going to see how that plays out moving forward. And we'll see tomorrow. It's supposed to start trading tomorrow. It's going to be interesting. Again, ticker BITO. With that said, crude oil, people, did fall slightly. WTI still around $83 a barrel. It is going higher. You know that. I'm not saying it's going to go straight up. It is possible that we will waver around a little bit, but the trajectory for crude is higher, and you know how it works. Pulls the energy sector higher, pulls the financial sector higher, market goes up. That's the way it is. Anyway, let's cover a few things here. I covered the MMRI, lots of questions. I hope you understand that. The higher that number goes, more risk, okay? You should lessen your exposure to equities, stocks, ETFs, stuff like that. Certain ETFs, okay? Equity ETFs, basically, like stocks, like companies. But again, I think we're way away from that. There's no reason right now, in my view, to, again, panic. Just keep your eyes on this stuff. There's going to be a lot more debt piled on, and that's going to drive the market higher. A lot more inflation moving forward too. And let's talk about that. We got some economic news today, and this really will come as no surprise to you. So we found out that manufacturing here in the United States fell more than expected last month. It's always unexpected. Not only that, the prior month, well, manufacturing was revised lower. Now, why are we seeing this despite the fact that we keep getting, this economy is booming, we're firing on all cylinders, we're doing great, because our economy is shrinking at its fastest pace ever in history as a percentage of GDP. That will not stop, especially with the Fed continuing to inflate. They're not going to stop. Now, with that said, let's talk about the warning we got from billionaire investor Carl Icahn. This is what he's saying. The market will hit a wall. Yeah, I don't think that's any surprise to you. It's definitely no surprise to me. Nothing makes sense in this market. It's being driven by out of control debt being fueled by a runaway central bank by design. Okay? He's also warning about runaway inflation. Carl Icahn is on the same page as you and me. We believe that inflation is going to continue to surge. And this second wave, like I've warned about, is starting to hit. And you can expect more people to start to catch on, meaning you're going to see people going to the stores and hoarding. They're going to be dumping these dollars that are losing purchasing power. So we're going to end up with, shortages. And of course, they're going to blame supply chain disruptions. No, the fact of the matter is it's inflation. Okay. Sure, there may be issues with supply chains. You would imagine they would have most of this cleared up, especially with, cargo ships floating outside of virtually every single port here in the United States, waiting for them to be unloaded, these ships. But no. They're just going to let them bob around out there. You make up your mind as to what's really going on with that stuff. But so that's going to be the narrative. Look here, the stores are getting emptied out because it's supply chain disruptions. No, it's the fact that people are dumping dollars and they want to get rid of these things and buy things with their dollars before they lose even more purchasing power. So you're not allowed to know this stuff. The mainstream media is the biggest propaganda machine in the history of the world. And all these freaks do, and I mean they are freaks, is read a script and try to convince you that they're trying to do some good for humanity and themselves. No, they couldn't care less about you or anything else. All they care about is themselves, and that's it, period, the freaking end. They are definitely part of that group I would consider freaks of the highest possible order. I think you would too. So anyway, that's the story here, people, with the market. We do have rising risk. Nothing to panic, nothing to get afraid of. Again, once you do this, you start making errors. Okay, we're not going to let ourselves make mistakes. We're going to be aware of these things. More risk in the market means less exposure to it. But I'm not saying that right now we have reached that point at all. We know more easy money is going to pile in here in epic, off the freaking Richter scale amounts. So that's going to drive the market higher, along with crude oil. Period. The end. That's what's going to happen here. Inflation, the dollars losing purchasing power is going to inflate the market. How does that work? Well, it's very simple. It takes more of these deflated dollars that are losing purchasing power, to buy anything, even shares of stock. It's an illusion. Okay, a lot of what you're seeing here is an illusion that the mainstream media is trying to convince you is real. But I think those of you, seriously, that do follow this blog, you're not, I don't want this to sound like really crazy or anything, but you're not like the regular person or the average guy or the average girl. You have the ability to take in these concepts, and most people have no idea. They don't have the slightest clue. They walk through time and space not knowing who they are, not knowing what they're doing, or why they're doing it. You understand? And that is a deliberate state of mind that they are being placed into via the mainstream outlets, via the divide and conquer mechanism, feeling helpless, kind of like Pavlov's dog. A lot of people do walk through time and space feeling helpless, like I can't do anything about it, but that's not the truth. People can do things about it. First of all, we need to band together. You need to get together with like-minded people and put this stuff together in a perspective that, it's beneficial to everybody. All right. We got to make this work for each other, people. I don't know another way to put it. And that's really, why every Friday I leave you off with love each other, care about each other, be charitable. It's about coming together. All right. These propaganda ministry outlets here, they have one thing in mind: to keep you separated from everyone else by any mechanism they possibly can. And once we realize that that mechanism here is one that has destroyed mankind since time immemorial, and we really do need to come together, we'll all be better off. Anyway, that's it, people. I could go on and on with this stuff. Love you a lot. Covered a lot of things here. And please share the video. I will see you in the morning, and it's going to be just great. See you.